I don't know where he is. Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
So happy it's Thursday.
Yes, me too, Bill. Me
Getting
too.
ready for the weekend, and certainly lots to do, lots to see here in Savannah. And fortunately, up in Pennsylvania, and not exactly breaking news, but they finally got that miscreant that had a murderer that had the illegal alien from Brazil that had murdered his girlfriend, stabbed her 38 times in front of her two kids. Not the kind of guy you'd want your sister to marry.
No.
So finally behind bars. Unfortunately, they took him alive.
Yes, so we get to pay for him, this illegal person that is in our country that did bad things. Now the taxpayer is responsible to feed and clothe him. So that's exciting.
It means he could escape again.
Yes.
Because he was pretty good at it the last time.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much does this manhunt cost?
I don't know, but it sure was a bundle. But
Yeah.
they finally did great police work. And I know it's difficult to try to find this guy who was apparently pretty well versed in how to get away and how to hide from people.
Well, also, it sounds like someone was probably helping him. So
Yeah.
when you have help, makes a big difference.
What got me was that when they finally captured him, I said, he doesn't look anything like those new pictures that they showed us, where he looked like Michael Jackson or something of that nature. So I don't know where all that came from. But like you said, somebody was helping this guy.
Yeah.
Let's find those people too.
Absolutely.
Good to have you aboard. And here in Savannah, things are looking up.
Yes,
They're really peachy.
Yes, I believe we have a new person in charge of the Chamber of Commerce that you were able to speak with this week.
Stepping in, this young man is really going to be, I think, dynamic for us, and he's got big shoes to fill. But because we've got a great chamber here, a great visitors bureau, and that's the subject of the fact that we had about 12 to 15 million visitors come to Savannah every year. They must be coming for a reason. But this gentleman and I actually go back further than we thought we did, because he used to be the press secretary and the guy that helped set up interviews that I had when Sonny Perdue was elected governor. And I had Sonny on my radio show on numerous occasions. Just a great guy, was a terrific governor. And it's Bert Brantley. He is now in charge of the Savannah Area Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. He spoke with us at the Kiwanis Club on Tuesday. I had a chance to chat with him about what he's doing, what his plans are, and what's going on, because there's an expo today he wants to tell you about too. About this new job you have here.
Well, couldn't be more thrilled to come down to Savannah, where I've done a lot of work over the years, particularly around economic development and tourism. But to come down here and represent our business community, making sure that as all this growth comes to Savannah, that we're really managing it in a smart way, working with our local leaders and our state leaders. And so we're just really thrilled. The community has welcomed us. Could not have been more gracious and more welcoming to both my wife and I. And so we're just thrilled to be here and really honored to have the chance to help us as we encounter some challenges that are going to come with this growth, and we really need to, as a community, come together and figure out some of these solutions.
It's kind of a new venture for you to a degree. Okay, you're filling some mighty big shoes. You got a class act to follow.
Yeah. I would just tell, and I know the people in this community know this, but Bill Hubbard has been such a friend to me, and so helpful in the transition and making sure that I was really ready to run right from day one. There was no walking or crawling, and so really a special person, special family, and really meaningful to this community. And so 23 years of service, really is incredible these days. You don't see that a lot around, and so we still talk, and he's still incredibly helpful as well. So he's still engaged. He's still paying attention to what's going on, and so it's really just honored and thankful to have the chance to build that the board, the executive committee, Bill, the staff, everybody has built here over these last couple of decades, and we'll just see if we can keep doing some good stuff.
And what are the challenges you figure right now? Because everybody, we want to have progress, we want to have more jobs, we want to have industry come in at the same time.
Yeah.
We want to stay historic Savannah.
Yeah, all that stuff that comes when you have more jobs and you have more opportunities for us and for our kids, that comes with transportation challenges, water, sewer, education, workforce development, childcare, housing, all these issues that come up. And so they're not unsolvable. They're challenges that exist in a lot of other places. And so, we just got to work together, figure out those things that make sense, get our leaders on board. The one thing that we talk a lot about our members is to be engaged, to talk to your elected officials, let them know what you think. You give them that feedback. They want to hear. Almost everyone I've ever met really loves to hear what the constituents are thinking. And so if we can be informed about the issues and then let them know, hey, we care about this and this and this, they're going to be more likely to address those things. And that's one of the big roles we have at the chamber, is helping our members be informed about the issues that are out there and able to talk about these issues to their elected officials.
And how do you work with other chambers in the area?
Yeah, so excited about our regional chambers and economic developers from around the region. We're getting together regularly now and talking about these issues that are facing us. Can't speak more highly about these folks that have been working in Bullock and in Bryan and Effingham and in our cities as well. We have a number of cities here that have economic developers and planning directors. And so, getting together, pulling all those folks, we have a lot of the same challenges, a lot of the same needs, and figuring out these regional solutions that help us, because we're not just Savannah anymore. I mean, this part of Savannah, the downtown area, the core of the squares, the gorgeous history and culture and all the really great arts and everything that's down here, the bookstores, it's really an incredible, unique place. But we also have out in Effingham and Bryan and in Bullock opportunities for jobs and development out there. So if we can work together and we can put this thing together where we've got great opportunities for jobs and careers, but also keep the really special nature of Savannah and what has made it really an incredible place for 290 years. If we can do that, then we'll be really happy and comfortable with what we've accomplished.
I know it's not something we can probably do much about it now, but a lot of us don't like electric cars. I don't think America wants electric cars, and yet we're going to be building them here. We got this big plant out there, and we have people complaining that, I've had my dream home here, and all of a sudden that's been ruined by this mass production going on here.
Yeah, we've seen that across the state, right? And I think it's a balance, and I really have a lot of empathy for particularly those folks that are nearby. And we've seen it, whether it's over in West Georgia, the Kia plant, whether it's up in Commerce with the SK plant, really all these large developments. You could be around the airport or any kind of development. You can see these same kind of challenges, and it's an unfortunate byproduct of progress and growth. That's a site out there that we've pitched for years and years. It was almost a Volvo plant years ago.
Right.
And so I hope that the folks out there at least had some inkling that we were pitching that as a site and had the potential to one day be developed into an industrial site. And so I think we've got to work with those folks. We got to hear their concerns. We got to listen. We got to see what we can do to mitigate the negative effects that come from living next to development. And that's true across the region, whether it's out there or whether it's any of the suppliers or really any of those places. On the EV piece, I think what I'm concerned about, and I think our state leaders have expressed this as well, is that we have an administration that's picking winners and losers. They're putting their thumb on the scale and saying, we need to go in this direction rather than to let the market decide, rather than let our really innovative and really smart companies decide, how best to meet the demands of our customers. I think what we've gotten is we've gotten a little ahead of the demand, and that will shake itself out. The market will figure it out, even with government heavy intervention, which we've seen from our federal partners up there. And so, look, if the great thing about this plant out here is it can build either internal combustion engine cars or the EVs, and so they're going to let the market decide what they're going to build and what they're going to supply, because they don't want to build a bunch of cars that won't sell, that you can't charge because there's not enough charging infrastructure.
Ford's losing $4 billion on there.
Well, that's exactly right. And so when government puts this thumb on the scale, you have market effects. In my opinion, the market tends to figure it out.
Exactly.
And so we'll see what happens. But the companies have got to be really smart. The ones that are taking these federal incentives, they got to know that if the market's not ready for it, the market won't react. And so I think people, I can tell you from my experience, people are concerned about having enough range and making sure there's chargers. And, until we get a really effective charging infrastructure, it's going to be difficult to convince people to go electric. And by the way, electricity costs as well, right? And so this notion that you save all this money, you don't buy gas, isn't really, because you got to buy the electricity either at your home or at the charger.
Surprise, surprise.
So I think an informed, driver, an informed purchaser will figure all that out. And if one day that makes sense for people, they'll go along with it. But if not, maybe we see hydrogen fuel cells, or maybe we see another type of fuel win out. And I just don't think we're all the way there yet in terms of what is the ultimate technology. Or do we stay gas? That might be, well, it may already have the winning technology, and maybe there's a way we can make gas a little cleaner. So I'm an ultimate believer in the market. I think we'll figure it out, and we'll do what's right. I just would like to see government a little less heavy-handed in terms of putting its thumb on the scale and favoring one over the other. We've seen this throughout the years in energy, especially.
Exactly.
You look at the nuclear plant that's been built here in Georgia, the first one in 30 years. While the federal government was favoring wind and solar and all this other stuff, when we had a really effective, answer that's there that hasn't been able to be used in a lot of places. Anyway, so I think we got to be really careful about that. But at the same time, the market's got a really good way of figuring that stuff out.
For sure. What about our infrastructure here? People worry. Today you were asked about the homelessness.
Yes, sir.
The people of downtown Savannah, the businesses, the challenges that they have with upgrades and everything else that have caused problems. Down there with that thing going on at the federal building has just been a disaster.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, with a 290-year-old city, you're going to have infrastructure problems, right? And so, unfortunately, that means sometimes public investment. And so, we just saw with the hotel motel tax increase that some investment over on River Street, which is certainly badly needed, and improving some of the infrastructure over there. But yeah, these kind of issues that you mentioned, it's a challenge, and it's frankly why the chamber's in business, because we have to be the business voice when our governments go to address those challenges. We need to be in the room. We need to be given the business perspective on that. And so I think this homelessness issue is a really challenging one, but it's one that affects our business community. Our shop owners downtown on Broughton Street, they see the impacts from some members of that community that frankly act in an unlawful way, and it impacts their ability to have customers come in their stores, for them to open in the mornings, and we've got to have a public safety system that keeps our public safe, that keeps our businesses safe, that keeps our visitors and our residents, particularly our downtown residents that deal with this frequently as well. And so we're in the room. We are trying as best we can to have the business perspective heard when they make decisions about what to do. We're working on this community court concept where we've got homeless folks that will be in front of a judge that knows the services that are available and can get them into those, hopefully get them into the services they need. We've got this Give Change That Counts program now to try to stop people from that they want to donate to a service provider and not give directly to one of our homeless community, but give it to the service provider, so those services are there and they can provide food and shelter and those kind of things. So trying to kind of retrain the public on how to help.
Yeah, you had a great analogy on the Union Mission where the guy said, give me the $5.
That's exactly right.
And I can feed this guy 3 times instead of once.
Our service providers are best equipped, whether it's shelter, whether it's healthcare, mental health, or just food and sustenance. They are best best enabled to provide those services, not you or I who's just out walking by somebody out there. And so we really want to educate our residents and our visitors and our businesses on what to do when they encounter a member of our homeless community that's acting in a strange way or in a maybe even an illegal way. How do we address that? Who do we call? What do we do? But then also, if you want to give and you want to help, give to the right kind of organization. So these signs that are going up around town, they'll have a QR code. People, if somebody asks you for money, you can scan that QR code and give the money straight to the organizations that are out there, as opposed to to a person where you don't know if it's going to be used in a very helpful way for them. To get them, ultimately, we've got to get these folks to the services they need, because it is not a dignified life to be out on the street, exposed to elements, exposed to not having health care, not having the services that really basic to human life. And so these folks that services are available, we got to get them to that so they can progress on, hopefully get a job and get housing and contribute back to society. And that's ultimately the goal we all got to have.
And Brett, what do you, I know you don't want to get involved politically, but on the media side of things, we don't have any locally owned stations anymore except one radio station and our little voice in the woods here on this, our podcast. We've got the Savannah Morning News. I think they've let go all of their staff. They're disassembling the printing press. It's now printed in Gainesville, Florida. If you want to see, I mean, their motto could almost be "Yesterday's news tomorrow."
Right. Yep.
Is there anything the chamber can?
Well, what we can do is be very supportive of local news, and I'll just tell you from my background, dealing with local news for years and years and years, I believe very strongly in good, solid local news. I don't always agree with what they write or what they say, but their job is to report it. And our job is to decide whether we like it or not, right?
Yeah.
And so I can just tell you that we are very supportive of making sure whether it's a TV station or a radio station, a website, or the newspaper has every tool they can have in order to cover the news, every connection to every member we have, business owner, whatever they need. We're going to be very helpful in that, and we're going to encourage our members to support all of our local news that are out there, because we need a healthy news environment in order to be a healthy community. And so I don't know if there's anything we can do to fix the news industry, bigger issue than just here, but we've got to make sure that we're doing everything we can here to support our local news stations. So you'll see, for example, at our candidate forum next week, we partner with WSAV, and they're going to be there, and they're a very big part of that. We're going to do that with other news stations and other outlets as well, and it can be online or print or whatever it is, but timely. I think your point is really important about that. If this happened 3 or 4 days ago, sometimes the value is not there in knowing it. The issue's kind of already passed, or the impact's already been made. So just making sure that we're doing everything we can to get them news they can print, to make ourselves available to them on issues, and then have a robust community that can subscribe and advertise and support as well. So we'll be involved in all of that and making sure there's an environment here. We can't tell them how to do business, we can't make them be successful, but we can provide the business environment that supports a really healthy, active news.
And did I hear you say something about somebody say something about police chiefs that you're going to be?
Yeah, so on Thursday, so our owners council, which is a lot of our small businesses that are part of our membership, we got both the Savannah Police Chief and the Chatham Police Chief going to appear together and answer questions from our small business owners, and a lot of these issues we talked about today will certainly come up. We're so proud of the really hard work of our police officers. I grew up in a law enforcement family. My dad was a state trooper for a number of years before he retired, and so they will always have our support. We're going to back them, and thankfully our police chiefs are willing to come and hear the concerns of our small business owners and see how we can work better together. So we'll continue to do programs like that for our members. And
Public invited to this?
That one is just for our owners, and so we do have some public events. That one is just for small business owners. We want to create an environment where they feel comfortable answering questions and getting answers from whoever and so from our chiefs this week. But we're really excited and very thankful for their work, for their officers' work, and glad they're coming to spend some time with us on Thursday.
So we're heavily into shameless self-promotion. Tell people how they can help the chamber, get involved, become a member.
The biggest
individuals can become a member. Right?
SavannahChamber.com is where everything is. The membership's pretty cheap. We try to have a low dues environment. Then you can pay to come to our events and network and meet people, and so that's kind of our concept of it. You'll find a lot of other chambers have much higher dues than we do, but our concept is we'll get you in, get you to be a member, and then let you really pick what helps you the most. And we have a lot of small businesses that use their chamber membership as their marketing budget. They may spend $20 or $30 to go to an event and meet 50 or 60 people, and that's their marketing budget for that week. They can't afford an ad on a billboard, or can't afford an ad on TV or on in the newspaper, but they can't afford to come to an event and kind of do that personal self-marketing. And so that's really the opportunity we try to provide for our businesses to be able to come together, meet each other, tell us what their concerns are so we can advocate for them, and then also maybe find a new customer or a new partner in a venture or whatever they're looking for, and pass out that business card. Everybody comes ready to do that at our events.
Super. Well, thanks for what you're doing here. And
one quick thing, if I can mention too, our Business
Yeah.
Expo
Yes.
is on Thursday from 3 to 7 over at the Kehoe Iron Works. We got 75 vendors that are going to be there ready to talk to you about whatever needs you have all across all industries. The public's absolutely invited. We probably will have 600 or 700 or 800 folks that come over at some point between 3 and 7 and just can't more strongly encourage everybody. If you think you might need, whether it's any type of business that's in Savannah that you want to get connected to, you're gonna be able to come to one place and see all of them in one place. And so we're excited. We'll be there the whole time. It's really one of our big events of the year. I'm really, really excited to welcome the community and have everybody meet our really strong members who are over there.
I think we ought to show up.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah.
Love to have you there.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate it. I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah.
A great job with the governor, and he'll do a great job for us.
Well, and I also like how he was very realistic. I think
Exactly.
that that's the big thing of, especially when he's like, they're picking winners and losers. And, if you're taking government money, like you're taking the risk because the market will figure it out. And I really, really like that because I am concerned about that Hyundai plant coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We do have Mary McCann Hybrider with us this morning. She says the EV debacle has literally put the cart before the horse. We do not have the infrastructure in place. And Steve Stanton Sr. says he's hitting all the points. Definitely, he has my vote at this point. I'm excited to see what he's going to do here in Savannah. He seems very reasonable, which I love.
And try to get that expo today at the Kehoe Iron Works. That's right across from the Marriott down the riverfront. So right behind the Pirates House. So check it out. 3 to 7 today. All right, coming up next, the little money you might have left, how to protect it and make sure you have some when you retire. We'll talk to Travis Chance of CFG Wealth Management after the break. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Well, first thing this morning we got CPI data that just came in. It's basically the market right now it doesn't know whether to scratch its watch or whine its butt because you got the expectation. We hit the expectation, but it ticked up from 3.2 to 3.6, and now all of a sudden you've got like everybody's going, oh my God, what's going on? Well, it hit your target. I mean, I don't know what anyway. So now they're wondering, is the Fed going to raise again? Are they not? So I don't know. Nobody knows.
I understand, but Travis, the market, these people at the Fed talking like they are going to raise rates again. It works so well. It's been working so well. We're going to keep it up.
Yeah. So but anyway, that's one thing. And also, Social Security just came out with their projection. 3.2 is what they're projecting for Social Security raises for 24. So a little bit of data this morning that came out fresh off the press.
Okay. And, a lot of people consider or are worried about something like that. And the reason that we use people like you is to make sure that we don't actually depend on Social Security. They keep talking about how much they're going to be out of money, day after tomorrow or whenever it is.
Right. Yes, sir. Bill, one of the bad parts of retirement planning is so many times it's done in a one session for some people, or they're using retirement calculators, et cetera, and they don't take into account the potential for tax increases in the future, the potential for inflation running hotter than expected, and all these things can really wreak havoc on a retirement plan. And that's why, as you know, I mean, you've seen it in action. I mean, we keep data fresh so that we refresh the retirement plan every 6 months regardless, so that we can actually forecast and say, okay, this is where it is right now. If it goes here, this is what we're looking at. So we know how much that's going to impact our cash flows. But yeah, so many times I think that's really underestimated the impact of a lot of these key metrics and these key data points. But definitely something that everybody should stay aware of, and hopefully their advisor is doing what we're doing for ours.
We keep hearing, of course, about whether or not the dollar is going to continue to be the money standard around the world and things of that nature. We have the president cutting off drilling rights in Alaska. We know gas is going to be going up. There are all sorts of things that you guys have to plan for as well.
Uh, but Bill, you can't plan for stupid.
That's true. Yeah, and you can't fix it either. That's the problem, and you got to vote it out.
You can't plan for stupid. I mean, let's face it. I mean, to say that, and look, you know me. I'm very much not red or blue when it comes to our clients' money. We vote green. We don't vote red or blue. But some of these things, you just got to look at them and go, come on, man. Like, are you serious? To use one of Biden's expression, come on, man. Are you serious right now? You are literally trying your hardest to put us into a economic recession. You've already seen their push for EVs completely almost blow up. You've got Ford's balance sheet that is, I'm sorry, I'm on my soapbox for a second. You'll have to permit me.
All right.
So you've got Ford's balance sheet that is literally taking a beating because they have grossly overestimated or thinking that the public is going to just consume these Mustang Machs and EVs and these Lightnings and all this stuff. They're not doing it. You got the UAW, which is now adding insult to injury, that in this market of troubling times for these manufacturers, they want a 32-hour work week and 30% pay increases. You got Biden cutting off the Alaskan drilling. And I just sit here and go, what part of this do you think is working, and what part of this do you think is going to actually help the average American worker? None. So, yeah, I do, as you know, we do our best to be diligent and to stay on top of things. But some of this stuff, Bill, you just got to go, because it's ridiculous. I mean, I really don't know what this guy or what this administration is thinking.
Yeah, well, the car manufacturers, corporate America, striking again, are trying to push these EVs down our throat. We have these wonderful commercials about how marvelous these things are and how they're developing all these new ones. And whether it's corporate America, corporate Europe, corporate Japan, I was proud to see Toyota say we're not going to build EVs, we're going to build hybrids, which I'm not in favor. I understand now. It's my understanding that even the Hyundai plant that they're building here for EVs can be converted to internal combustion engines, which I think is the wiser decision because it's going to be another 4 years so that thing's up and running. So maybe they'll get the clue.
Well, Bill, common sense would dictate. I mean, and you and I both know common sense is a superpower these days.
Really.
This is not the great old days of where people actually had a little bit of sense about them, especially corporate America and in politics. But you think about this: if you are really an environmental superhero, you want to protect the environment, right? What part of protecting the environment includes strip mining the world so that you can pull these minerals out of the ground and make these batteries that are going to have a limited shelf life? Then you have nowhere to put them, and we're already having like communities push back against having landfills coming in their areas. So what are we going to do with them? It is completely ridiculous to me to think that you're going to automatically go from 100+ years of internal combustion engines to all of a sudden you're going to leave the oil in the ground, which can be utilized and much cleaner than it was, to now you're going to strip mine the world, leave these big gaping holes. And also we're selling our soul to China because guess who controls a lot of where the lithium and all the other minerals come from?
Well, we shut down ours.
Yeah, while we're sitting on ours. It is completely mind-boggling. I agree with you. I think what should happen, but there again, what do I know? I think what should happen is internal combustion engines. If you want to start the hybrid process, I think that's a perfect idea, right? I mean, because
Yeah.
don't automatically think you're going to transition the entire world economy over to these clean new energies. Transition that over a period of time, and you probably within a few generations you'll get there, and it probably won't crash the market or the economy. But there again, what do we know? You and I are just good old followers of common sense. And Bill, the line behind us is getting shorter and shorter by the day.
Yeah, I know it.
So,
Yeah, several companies had converted to cars with natural gas. There was a guy, I think a salesman I heard in Utah a few years ago, said he converted his car to natural gas. Cost him $750 to fill up, and he could get 350 to 400 miles out of a tank, and a lot cleaner. So
you
there,
know,
there's
one of the things, and we're probably running up against time here in just a little bit, but one of the things, obviously, I was in politics, recovering politician, 10 years on our city council, and one of the ways that we actually used what you just said to our advantage to keep expenses low, not be forced to raise taxes, is we converted our heavy fleet of trash pickup, trash trucks, public works trucks over to natural gas. And exactly what you just said, our fuel costs, which were astronomical, started to work their way down. Natural gas is a much cleaner burning option. It is not as expensive. You get better gas mileage. I mean, it's just amazing to me that more communities and more people don't recognize what you just said. We have other sources of fuel we could utilize. We don't have to take this green new approach that, like I said, I firmly believe. When you have the king of EVs and Elon Musk saying that we don't need to do this, and he's the one that's making Tesla and EVs, you probably should sit up and listen. But I mean, let's face it, if we stay on the path we are on economically and politically, as I tell my kids, we're going to get what we get, and we can't pitch a fit.
Travis, once again, this is why we need to invest in people like you who watch this stuff, and whether you have to pull your hair out with it or not, but at least you're watching it almost 24/7 while we are trying to live our lives. And that's why I think it's important to have financial advisors like you to protect our money, so we'll have something when we retire. So tell people how they can get in touch with you here.
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. For those that would like to give us a call, 877-269-0839. If you mention that you heard us on Bill's show, we will give you a 20-minute Ask Us Anything session. We'll either schedule it by phone, or you can come in our office for 40-45 minutes for a visit. Also, Bill, just as a reminder, in your area, we are actually teaching our Savannah courses at the Pooler campus coming up in a couple weeks. So they can also visit our chancefinancialgroup.com website, learn more about the class, and actually sign up directly online if they'd like more information about how their retirement can improve just by knowing some of these key metrics and key data and how they impact their long-term success.
Fantastic. Travis, keep up the good work and keep us informed. We'll talk to you again next week.
Absolutely, Bill. Always a pleasure. Be safe. See you next week.
Likewise. Yes, sir. We'll be right back.
You have to love Travis.
Yeah, boy.
And we have some people with us today. Lizzie Warren says, who buys a used EV with a declining battery range? No resale value. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mary McCann Hybrider says, I know. What are they doing? They're trying to destroy America. This is intentional. And you can purchase a new battery for about $14,000. There is nothing green about any of this. All from Mary McCann Hybrider. So absolutely. I think we all see the gigs up on the whole electric car thing. I don't know a lot of people that are super stoked about it, especially people that have had to evacuate with an electric car from places like Florida. It hasn't really worked out that well for them.
No, it hasn't. And also, firefighters need to know if there's a car fire, because some of the fire extinguishing stuff that they use is not compatible with these electric batteries and stuff. What
a disaster!
Yeah, it really
What
is.
a disaster.
What could possibly go wrong?
I know.
All right.
Quit asking that because it's getting worse.
That's true. And what could possibly go wrong in the airline biz? We'll find out. Jay Ratliff is giving us an update on what's happening in the skies and on the ground to the people that take care of it. Coming up next on Get Real America.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934 with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. Welcome back to Get Real America, and it's time to talk once again to our good buddy Jay Ratliff, who is an aviation analyst expert who knows what's going on the ground and in the air, and understand that some folks at Delta Airlines or something, or need to brush up on Andrew Carnegie's book or something, or take the Andrew Carnegie course.
They got to do something, that's for sure, because we had a flight from Ghana to New York that encountered a mechanical issue over the water in the Atlantic, and they had to land. So they picked a small Portuguese island in the Atlantic to do so.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Delta employees there because, Bill, this isn't a Delta city. So they land, the flight crew's taken off to a nearby hotel, and passengers are kind of forced to just, you're on your own. Now, you needed a visa here, so they couldn't leave the airport, so they're stuck. And they're waiting for things to open up. They're there for like 12 hours.
God.
There's no Delta representation at all. And when they start to complain, airport officials say, look, you should be grateful you didn't crash in the ocean and die. And then they went on to say, don't you dare start a revolution. Now, I don't know how small this island is, but if those are the kind of issues that are going on, yeah, you might want to keep your mouth closed and just wait. Delta finally got the people out of there, got them back to JFK. They apologized and refunded their tickets. But, Bill, I can tell you from the decades I've been in the industry of the airline industry, one of the big issues is always communicate with us.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the news is bad, keep us posted on what's going on.
Yeah.
The idea that you're just left, forgotten, dismissed, those types of things don't sit well with travelers. And I would tell my agents constantly, if we've got a delayed situation, every 20 minutes, I want you to give them an update. I don't care if it's the same update as what you gave them 20 minutes before. Always keep them updated so they've got an idea of what's going on. And in this case, Delta, once again, as they've done so frequently, dropped the ball here. And as a result, passengers were left to fend for themselves. And since it's a mechanical situation, Delta should have been responsible for providing food and drink and those types of things to try to make their stay a little bit more comfortable. But, in this day of don't you dare make me do something. They did. Delta's becoming, from a customer service standpoint, sadly, just like every other carrier. And I really hate to see that. But look, their flights are full, they're making money, and there's no incentive for them really to treat us any different.
Well, it's just human decency, you would think sometimes. And I think, Jay, that's what we're losing overall with the kids that are growing up today that got more friends on their phone than they do in their lives. And they don't have any of these skills. They don't look people in the eye. I can't tell you how many times I go into a place and the employees are mostly, teenagers or early 20s. They're walking around. They don't acknowledge that you're there. If they're busy doing something, they don't say, I'll be right with you.
Nope.
So this permeates the whole damn place.
It does, and it's sad because, well, look, Sherry and I were flying back a couple of weeks ago from Orange County. We're on Delta, our carrier of choice, the airline that I've been loyal to for 40 years. We're at the diamond status. We're supposed to be well taken care of. We come off of a delayed flight out of Orange County. We're rushing through that Atlanta airport. We get to our gate, and we made it like 15 minutes before departure, and they already let it go. And the agent looks at me and says, "Next time, be on time." And I'm
What?
thinking, "Excuse me." Oh yeah. That's and of course I bring it up to the managers in Atlanta, and they said, "Jay, this is." They didn't respond for a week. When I got a hold of the director of operations in Atlanta, they got back to me and said, "Hey, I tell you what, we'll talk. We'll call you Friday at 1 o'clock. This cannot stand. We're going to do something about it." What happens
Uh-huh.
at 1 o'clock? Does my phone ring? Does my phone ring? No, 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 no. Like 20 minutes later, I get an email. "I'm sorry, we were with a passenger." I said, "Don't even bother." I mean, it's obvious you don't care, and I'm not going to follow that up with a phone call. But it's unfortunate. We keep going. Look, we had this week the attacks of 9/11, the anniversary. Even
Yeah.
though you wouldn't know it from the Dayton Daily News because my local newspaper didn't have a single mention on the front page that
Jeez.
it was the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. And yes, we let them know about it. But prior to that, there was a push to try to get more service into the airline industry. But
Hmm.
when the attacks of 9/11 happened, Bill, everything shifted from service to security, and we've never looked back. If you get customer service today, go buy a lottery ticket because it's your day. You got it by accident. I'm
Jay,
serious.
I must tell you that we were delayed 48 hours on our trip to the Mount Rushmore a few years ago. You know the story, and because they couldn't get a door closed, so they couldn't get us on another flight for 2 days. But the fact
Yep.
that they lost my baggage, and we fly in first class, they lost my baggage
Oh,
coming
yeah.
into Rapid City, and I didn't get it back for almost 24 hours. But the guy that I talked to in customer service was extremely apologetic and said, you certainly deserve compensation for this and so on and so forth. I never followed up, but he sounded very genuine and sincere. I appreciated that.
Well, that's all we want. At least give you
Yeah,
the perception that you care.
that you care.
Because, I mean, we constantly get emails from Delta saying you are a valued diamond top level flyer, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
boy.
Well, if you're going to let that airplane go 15 minutes before departure, knowing I'm running to the gate, status doesn't mean a thing. There's absolutely nothing to it. So, and that's what I tell people. It's look, you're enduring travel today. I don't care who it is, if it's a low cost carrier, if it's one of the legacy carriers, and we continue to move in the direction where they don't really care.
Hmm.
You'll fly a foreign carrier, you're treated like you own the airline. You come back, they send me emails saying, "Jay, I had the chance to fly a foreign carrier. My gosh, I've never been treated like that." And I thought they were making a mistake or thought, I was a relative of the owner or something, blah, blah, blah. That's just how we're treated on other carriers. And then you get
Exactly.
into the carriers, and it's not only are we going to treat you bad, we're going to treat you bad and you're going to know about it. And we're going to show you we don't care about treating you bad. It's horrific.
It is. Meanwhile, moving on. Apparently, Swiss airplane jets from Zurich to Bilbao, Spain, 11 passengers and no luggage.
No, yeah. And my apologies, my notes to you are in error. It was 111 passengers.
Oh.
So you've got this flight with 111 people, Zurich to Bilbao, Spain. They land.
Mm-hmm.
Passengers get baggage claim, and what do? They stand around for 2 hours before somebody comes to them and says, "I'm sorry, but I guess we should have told you this before now. None of your bags were loaded because we've got a shortage of employees in Zurich. Sorry." Now, you come off of a 2 hour flight. In that entire 2 hour flight, they knew your bags weren't on the airplane. This is
Uh-huh.
Swiss Air, a good airline. This is a
Yeah.
carrier that normally is on top of things. You're the captain of that aircraft. Weight and balance, you're filling out the paperwork. What do they tell you? How much luggage do we have underneath?
Mm-hmm.
None. So, as the captain, there's no luggage. So, does the captain make any announcement for 2 hours during the flight? No, he does not, or she does not. So then they land. Does somebody tell them before they get off the plane, "I'm sorry, you're not going to like this, but here's what happened"? No, they send them to baggage claim and they stand there for 2 hours Can you tell we're pushing buttons here? Customer service sucks. And here's another great example of 4 hours of no communication. And it's ridiculous. And yeah, I get worked up over it because I expect a lot more from airlines than this. And when you're talking about something as simple as communicating, if it is bad news, then tell them. Tell them on an airplane. See, if I'm the captain and I'm flying, I'm telling my first officer, we got to let them know what's going on. And if we tell them now, maybe give them free drinks, we'll calm them down before they get to the airport. And maybe we can diffuse some of this from the poor baggage service people. They're going to be like taking the brunt of this on the end. But can you imagine not telling them for 2 hours? And don't you tell me the crew didn't know, and then make them stand around. I mean, how would you not let them know, I don't know, 20 minutes after arrival, but 2 hours you made them wait? It just goes on and on. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Sounds like more holes in that. Sounds like more holes in that than Swiss cheese.
And that's a very good analogy because that's where they're at, Swiss Air. But here's the thing, you're talking about if Sherry and I are traveling within 500 miles, we're driving. And a lot of people do that. They say, look, the idea of me going to the airport, fighting all this crap, putting up with people, trying to get to my destination with my bags without somebody beating me up with a 55-pound backpack that they're swinging around, taking out half the row. Look, we'll just drive. And excuse me, I can't blame them because I'm fed up. And we've done less flying over the last 12 months. And I suspect the next 12, we're going to do less flying than we did before. Going to California, yeah, got to fly. Going to Europe, Asia, yep, got to get on an airplane. Yep. But I tell you what, when I step on board that airplane, it's going to be like, okay, I have zero expectations here other than I'm going to be treated like crap. If we get treated anything better than that, I'm going to consider it a win. And it's really, and again, I've told you, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I think his administration in a lot of regards is a joke, but I do appreciate the fact that the Department of Transportation under the Biden administration is trying to hold airlines accountable. And they need to continue to do so because nobody's speaking up for the airlines or for passengers.
Right.
And that's why I tell people, if you have an issue, don't complain to the airline. Complain to DOT.gov. That's the Department of Transportation website. Fill out your complaint through their way. It's a real easy to use form. And it goes to the DOT that goes to the airline on our behalf. And the DOT, who is supposed to control what the airlines do, says we've got a complaint. You need to respond within 30 days. Copy us in so we can see what you're saying. And that's what you've got to do. Airlines hate it when we do that, which is why every national interview I have, I say DOT.gov over and over and over and over, because I want people to remember, if you've got a complaint, let's really tick off the airlines. Complain through DOT.gov. If you've got a past complaint you're still waiting on, go to DOT.gov today. Because when the Department of Transportation starts to see the tens of thousands of people that are complaining, they get a very good idea of just how bad things are. When we complain to the airlines don't share those numbers. They don't tell the government how many people complain. No, we're all good here. Don't worry about us. Yeah, go to
yeah, we're full. Yeah, everything's hunky-dory.
Really, we're fine. I mean, people kept coming back, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So,
it's not like during the Depression where that lady called the theater and said, what time's the movie start? Said, lady, what time can you get here?
Exactly. It's the case. In the early days, I mean, they'd send a limousine to your house to take you to the airport.
Yeah.
That was included in the price of your ticket. Now they'll have you run over by a limo or something. Yeah, or what? You got me fired up.
I'm telling you. Really... well, the only way that I'm going to get Pam back on a plane, she said, I'll go anywhere they fly out of Savannah to wherever. I'm not going to change planes. You find out where each one of them's going. Tampa was the only thing that I could find that we really wanted to go to.
Well, thanks to my new buddy Al at Gate B33 in Atlanta, who let the plane go 15 minutes forward departure. Sherry and I've got to get on nonstop flights, because if you've got to make a connection in Atlanta on Delta and you've only got 30 minutes, no. You only have 15, because if Al's your gate agent, That bad boy's gone. Just wave at the window. Airplane is goodbye.
Uh-huh. Well, at least the CEO knows his pronouns. All right, Jay. Listen, I appreciate it. Always a pleasure talking with you. Whether the subject is pleasant or not, at least it's funny. You can learn in retrospect.
Jerry's going to say, "Gee, why are you taking double blood pressure medicine today?" It's Bill again. So.
All righty. Well, we'll look forward to our next get together, blood pressure medicine or not.
I'll have it standing by, brother.
Hey, me too. All right. God bless. Thanks. We'll be right back. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934 with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Cop in Oklahoma. Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Thursday morning as we get ready for the big weekend.
Yes, and we always like to end on some good news.
Yeah, and we've got really something amazing to show you. A police officer in Oklahoma who performed one of the most heroic acts I've ever seen captured on camera when he saved a person's life, looked like a young man's life, pulling him out of a fiery car. Here he is approaching this car that's on fire, and you think, well, nobody can be in there or alive. And the officer goes in, he's got his fire extinguisher, he gets this out. Watch him pull this guy out of the car. This is going to blow your mind. Yeah, I mean he's fogged this thing up, and he's got to go out and catch a little bit of a breath himself, and comes back, and gets this guy, pulls him out of the back. I think he was in the had climbed into the back seat or something. Yeah, as he
pretty amazing.
And then goes back and grabs this guy in the back of the car. Now, this thing can go up at like a Roman candle here any second now. And gets him through the window, the window of the back.
Pretty amazing that the guy's still alive.
Yeah, I know, and seems to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, pretty amazing. I'm sure that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, at this point, yeah, he's wow.
Pretty amazing.
Just another day, and if you ask this guy, obviously he's probably saying that just another day at the office type thing. Just doing my job.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's what our police have to put up with on a daily basis.
Yeah, and Steve Statton says, good show this morning. Have a great weekend. Is this the part they want to defund? Apparently, Steve, a lot of these people change their tune once they're attacked by these people or something bad happens to them. They definitely need the police. That's the first person that they call. So quite interesting that they always wanted to fund these people. And then a combination of bravery and testosterone. Yeah. And I just want to mention that if you see a police officer out, make sure that you're always thanking them, because I will say that they are having a tough battle right now here in Savannah with our DA. And, that level of support is not where it needs to be, especially when the DA's made it very hard for them to do their job. I had the honor of speaking to someone, one of our police officers here in Savannah last night. And, it was nice just to talk to him as a person. And, he just kind of talked about the challenges here. And, I think a new DA is going to help, but we have a long way to that. 2024 does not come soon enough for us to replace the DA here. But just make sure that you're making our police officers feel like they are appreciated.
Hopefully, maybe the governor, now that he has the power, can step up and get rid of this one. So, that's a pipe dream.
Yeah, and Mary Ken Hybreeder said, thank them all for their service. God bless them. Absolutely. Going out in the Savannah streets, not an easy feat these days. So definitely thank them.
For real. Meanwhile, there was a tractor-trailer accident taking place up in Atlanta, in which an 18-wheeler caused a 7-car pileup on this interstate in Atlanta, and I think it's just near Spring Hill, and it was carrying 80,000 raw rotisserie chickens.
Oh my gosh!
And the police call this a hindrance to traffic.
Pun intended.
And I'm thinking they also suspect foul play.
Yes, Bill. I would suspect they think that too.
Humor. All right. So there, but fortunately, nobody was injured except, of course, the chickens.
Yes, and maybe some people experiencing some road rage because Atlanta traffic's already bad, and when something like that happens, woof.
Still wish I had been a fly on the wall at that planning session when they said, "I've got it. We'll take 3 major interstates and bring them all together in downtown Atlanta."
Brilliant. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
It's worked out really well.
Yeah, it really is. I'm always a white knuckle driver when I go up there. Bumper to bumper at 80 miles an hour. I just love it.
I'm not gonna lie. I get hives just thinking I have to drive in Atlanta when I'm like getting close. I'm like breaking out in hives. Lizzie Warren says, "Bill, I was injured rolling my eyes at that foul joke." We all love our puns. We all love them.
Yeah. Well, that's when we just pick one out.
Yes. Well, and always living on a high note for the weekend, but I think that we need to teach our young people what it means to work for something. I think that we don't see enough of this. I think we're living in a society where everything comes easy to us, right? I think we have been very blessed as far as my generation goes that we haven't had to do a lot of the hard work that our grandparents and parents have had to do. And our lives have been fairly easy in comparison. But one father is teaching his kid that, if you want something, you can work for it. And pretty impressive 11-year-old.
Yeah, let's take a look.
I'm Jack, and this is my dad's junkyard. He told me I can have anything that I can get running. So let's start with that Ranchero. Let's get started. To check her out, the first thing I notice is we need a battery, so let's get that. We have a Bluetooth spark plug wire, so let's go find one. I'll take this. Let's see if she'll turn over. I guess we'll have to hot wire it. I got my ignition hot wired. Let's see if she'll turn over. Woo! She sounds good. Let's get some gas hooked up to her. Well, we know she runs. Now let's get her driving on the next one.
I think that this is adorable.
I'm blown away.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Imagine being... Again, I just told Bill during the break, and don't judge me, but I was like, I couldn't look in that car and decide what was wrong. I'm like, there's a lot of wires here. My car does not look like this.
I hardly know the spark plugs from the manifold or whatever it is, or personifold.
Yeah, but I do think that it's pretty impressive. This kid that's 11 years old can figure out what's wrong with these cars, and his dad's basically like, if you can fix it, you can have it. So I'm sure he'll have a plethora of vehicles to drive by the time he's 16.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things, and we're going to talk about in future broadcasts. I've got some good friends here in the transportation industry and what they call the logistics side of things. When you think about it, it's mind blowing how you can go into a grocery store or restaurants. You see them all over the place. You see them, and they have food. They have, and they rarely run out. These days, that's a little different. But the fact that you're in, Bootscuff, Nebraska, and you pull into some restaurant, and they got plenty of, they got milk, they got steaks, they have eggs, the whole bit. When you think about that supply chain thing, of how all this food and gasoline and everything else that needs to get to all these different stations and all these different places, and no matter where you go. There seems to be, plenty of it, and no matter whether it's a small town or major city, the logistics thing is something that they teach here. A good buddy of mine, Fish Mahuda, with Freightliner here, is we're going to get him on along with some of his others. They go into the schools. They have a program for kids in school now. And one of the biggest mistakes I think we've made in public education, and I have a list, but there was getting rid of the industrial type thing, the shop teaching and things of that nature. Had to take shop in the 8th grade, and we had to build cabinets, and which means you had to it was applied mathematics. And you had to figure out how long a piece of wood you needed, where to cut it, how to do it, and we had band saws, we had lathes, we had buzz saws, and no protective equipment on this stuff. None of us had goggles or anything else. Nobody lost a finger. Nobody got hurt in these things. We were very, very careful. Our shop teacher was really, really, Johnny on the spot. He was one of those helicopter teachers. He was all over the place, making sure that everybody was doing the right thing. And we made some pretty cool stuff, and it gave you an appreciation of how stuff was made and how difficult it is to do some things.
Believe it or not, I took wood shop for most of my high school career. I loved it. It was fun. I made a vanity. I made a side table, and I actually helped some of the guys with their projects.
Yeah, but teaching these kids, the amount of money that you can make. When you think about these blue collar jobs, these guys out at the port that are working the cranes and things of that nature, these guys these are $100,000 and $150,000 jobs. This ain't nothing to sneeze at. There's lots to do, and we need to start teaching kids. We're still going to need people to do car repairs. We're still going to need. My wife does
air conditioning repairs. Really important.
Yeah, well, I think in fact in our prisons, I think one of the top subjects taught is HVAC.
Yep, that's a good. That's a good one.
You can have a job when you get out after you've done your time, and this is something that's so vital. People don't realize how important this is. And we're still going to need car mechanics, whether they're electric or whether they're diesel or whether they're whatever.
Yep.
And by the way, when we talk about flying, like when we talk to Jay Ratliff every week, somebody needs to work on those engines.
Yeah, we need a lot more people with a lot more skills, Bill.
We sure do.
Before we wrap up the show, Lizzie Warren says, I recognize the AC in a car. Steve Stanton says, kids weren't raised to work on cars like we were, Bill.
Well, you can't. It's almost like you can't anymore. You open up this thing, and the whole thing is practically
encased. Yep, that's why I was like, "There's a lot of wire."
You've got to have the computer hook up to it.
Yep, to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, different stuff. So and I think that's maybe by design.
Yes, and Mary McCann Hybrider says future generations need technical training in the trades. And Lizzie Warren says in Savannah in the summer a good AC guy can work 24/7. You are absolutely right. When you have to wait 2 days to get your air conditioning fixed, you are so grateful for the person that invented air conditioning.
Yeah, Pam loves the calls on Friday afternoon, especially on a holiday weekend.
Yes.
My air conditioner's out.
That's when they always go out.
Yeah,
it's like it knows.
Well, this is the catcher. Many times they'll say, "Well, when did it go out?" A couple of days ago, and you're just now calling. You expect somebody to come to you on a weekend, a holiday weekend?
I call immediately. I'm like, please come as soon as possible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to wrap it for us today and for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can donate. You can become a member. If you have a small business, advertise with us. And if you're interested in being a part of what we're doing, you can become an investor.
And for all the pilots and everybody who's been here for Operation William Tell out at the Command Readiness Training Center, the Air Dominance Center, we welcome you here. Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for protecting us and protecting our freedoms. I didn't get press credentials, but I'm not bitter. Please come back and thank God you can watch some of the other stations and get some stories there because they didn't think I was important enough. But nevertheless, thank you very much. We appreciate your service.
Yep.
See you next week.
Have a good weekend.